Welcome into the Holton Ahlers Show. It is Thursday, and the New York Knicks are one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. That and a whole much more right after the break. We got Jon Gilbert, ECU Athletics Director, on the other side. Hope you enjoy the show. If not, as always,
that's too damn bad!
Holton Ahlers turns, and Holton will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holton Ahlers to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5, touchdown Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
It's showtime!
Yeet, episode 19. Let's welcome in the man with the plan of ECU Athletics. Anything that happens, it runs through him. ECU Athletics Director, Jon Gilbert.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go. Let's start off with baseball, probably the most successful sport in your tenure here. Obviously, fall to Tulane this week. How are you feeling about hosting a regional? How do you feel about our chances of that and then possible a super down the road? It looked kind of like a lock. Do you feel like it still is, or is it kind of up in the air now?
Well, before we talk baseball, I want to talk about you doing a podcast. And did you start this because you saw your dad in the media industry and you thought it was so easy that if he could do it, you could do it better? Was that like your thought process?
Well, it had to do a little bit with it. Maybe not the podcast part of it, but yeah. Pops definitely influenced me a little bit, and having a couple buddies that I do it along with. But yeah, he might have influenced me a little bit.
Well, good. We think a lot of your dad, and know you'll soar past him soon in the media area.
Hey, that's the plan.
But baseball, encouraged where we are. I still think we're in really good position to be a host. Obviously, we've got to win some games going down the stretch. We've got Campbell tomorrow night. Hopefully, the weather will hold off. And then Rice on the weekend and into the conference tournament. But if you look at our non-conference strength of schedule and our RPI, we're still in pretty good shape as far as that's concerned.
For sure. I hope so. That's hopefully I'm in back by time we can host some regional and I'll be there for it. But how important is keeping Cliff Godwin a Pirate? Obviously, he's going to be a Pirate for life. He's already solidified that. How important it is to keep him in the program as the head coach? Obviously, probably the most successful coach in ECU baseball history. How important is it to keep him here?
Well, first, as it relates to Cliff's a former ECU Pirate himself. So he's a former ECU student athlete, which is really important. That doesn't happen very often. Obviously, with the last edition of his contract, we did a rollover year every time he goes to a regional. It's not a lifetime contract, but it sure is a very long-term commitment to him. And then if you look at just the financials of where we fund baseball at ECU, we fund it at a very high level. So certainly there are, schools out there that are resource enough that could, pay a lot more, but the number of schools that are in that category, they're really not that many. I hope he's here for a very, very long time, but I'm also realistic and know that, the more success that we have on the field, the more attractive he becomes for certain programs.
Absolutely. And you talked about funding, even from the time that I've been done, which is 2 years now. Like there's already been a lot of, updates with the facilities over there. They have their own weight room now. They have the batting cages, the indoor batting cages and all that. So you can drive by and see that, that you guys are putting money into that. So hopefully that can keep them around for a while. I want to shift over to the football side of things. Obviously last year doesn't go as planned. No one thought it would go the way it would. How important is it to win this year for ECU football and just for athletics in general? How big is this next upcoming football season?
Well, every football season's big. So many things depend on football. And really, I'm talking outside of ECU. You look at the community of Greenville. There's so many businesses that they depend on the success of our athletic department, our football program, this university, and so every football season is really important. Obviously, last year not what we wanted or anticipated, but know that last year was a big learning experience for a lot of people, myself included. The transfer portal and NIL, it's real, and it's one of those things you can say you don't like it. I don't like it, but I know it's the system with which we have to live, and so it is a priority for us. But I feel like we made the necessary adjustments. Coach Houston did with staffing, personnel, revamping the offense, going out, and our donors were unbelievable as it relates to NIL, with people going, hey, we see that we can help fund our way out of this. And so I'm excited about what the season holds. I do think, based on watching spring, that our offense is going to be much better than it was last year. Obviously,
I hope so.
We've got a lot of returning defensive players that give me a lot of confidence going into the season.
For sure. And I wanted to stick around the NIL part. I kind of got to see barely any of it compared to now. I got to see literally none of it. You talked about that, and how big is having a collective compared to these bigger schools now? Because like when I was there, we had the collective, but it wasn't really fully established yet. And even last year, like you said, everyone was learning things. Like, how quickly did we have to get this thing rolling to make sure that we can win games? Because let's be honest, like, you need NIL, kind of like you just said, to win games in today's college football world.
Well, I'm really thankful for Team Boneyard, our local collective. They have done a remarkable job about generating NIL opportunities for our student athletes. And, I've said it time and time again, our coaches are only as good as the players we're able to attract. NIL does not guarantee a winning team. You can look at teams across the country that had a lot of money in NIL and they didn't win, but it gives you a chance to attract the best possible players you can attract. And so I tell people all the time, if you have an extra dollar and you can either give it to the Pirate Club or give it to NIL, I want you to give it to NIL, where we can attract the best players possible.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to ask you about a next topic now. I want the honest truth, because when I was a freshman, or when I was getting recruited, I was told by the previous regime and staff that an indoor would be there by my junior year, and it is still not up. So how close are we to getting this indoor, breaking ground on it and getting it built?
Yeah, we just hired a contractor last week. And what that contractor will do is work with the architect to kind of dial in the actual price of the building, because up until this point we've been going off of the architect's pricing model. We think it's going to be right around $25 million all in. We've raised 22 of it, so we're really close. We hope to go before the Board of Governors in early fall to get formal approval on the building. And then I would hope that we'll be able to break ground, sometime after the first of the year. It could be as late as the spring, depending on, how quickly you could get steel, et cetera. But I would hope by next year, calendar year, that we've broken ground on it.
Let's go. So we're moving. We're getting things moving a lot quicker than they have in the past. So I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for joining, obviously. I just want to ask you a couple more questions. We'll move over to the basketball side of things now. Obviously, you coming from Tennessee, you've seen what a winning culture in basketball looks like. We bring over, obviously, coach from Tennessee. How important is it to get a winning culture, especially in North Carolina, which is, some say, a basketball state, especially for college basketball? How important and how hard is it to get a winning culture here at East Carolina?
Well, it's very important to me personally. Like I fully expect and think that you can have a winning basketball program at ECU. If you look at the history of ECU basketball, it's some crazy number. Like, we've had 6 winning seasons in the last 30 years or something like that.
Yep.
And it's hard to put my finger on exactly why. I know last year we've invested more money in basketball than we ever have in the past, and we're going to continue to do that because I do believe we can win here. But it is extremely difficult because, I'll compare it to our baseball program. Cliff Godwin has done remarkable things here, and I would probably argue has had the best run at ECU over the last, 6-7 years in the history of ECU baseball. But if you look past Cliff, pretty much every coach that's ever coached here has won in baseball. Not to the level that Cliff has, but they've had winning records and gone to regionals, etc. If you look at the history of ECU basketball, we don't have that. And so I think having a breakthrough year and being able to capitalize upon that is going to be really important.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's probably my favorite sporting event to go to, obviously, other than football games, is basketball games when they're electric, when the fans go there. So I will always support basketball. Obviously, any ECU athletics. But one of our fans asked, what would we expect, staying on the basketball side, what teams could we expect in the non-conference at ECU next year in Minges? Do we have any on the radar already or in agreements?
Still working through the schedule now. I know we complete the 3-game series with South Carolina, so I think it will be sometime in December. We will go to South Carolina for a game. Still working on what that home schedule will look like just yet.
Okay, heck yeah.
I know we'll have Wilmington coming back.
Okay, yeah, keeping the local school. I like it. And that's kind of leads me right into the next question. There's a rumor on Twitter that there's a bill going out that's going to require NC State, UNC, the ACC schools to play smaller as per se schools as in ECU and stuff like that. Have you heard anything about that? Is there any truth to that? Because obviously you already talked about it. Any big games with football, any like that helps the city of Greenville and all that. Is there any truth behind this bill?
I know that there's discussion of a bill like that. I've had no formal discussions with anyone about the bill. I've read it. I understand what it means. Us playing State in Carolina, it is a big deal. We have State on the schedule in 25 and then again in 28, 25 in Raleigh, 28 in Greenville. Obviously, you'd like to extend that because of the proximity and the history. So I'm definitely in favor of playing those schools.
Yes, sir. And last, it's not even really a question. I just want to give you a floor to our listeners, to the people who are on edge about buying 2024 season football tickets. Why should they buy 2024 season football tickets?
Well, I think, number one, we've got an exciting brand of football. If you came to our spring game, you're going to see an exciting team, both offensively and defensively. We've got some really good games on our schedule. The Appalachian State game in week 3, I think, is going to be a really good game. We've got the Naval Academy here. So UTSA was a nine-game winner last year, played in the, had a significant year in year 1. So I think we're going to have some good teams in Dowdy-Ficklin, and I think you're going to see a really good brand of football.
Yes, sir. Go buy them. Appreciate you joining, Mr. John. You've always been a player guy, and now I'm not a player guy. I appreciate our relationship. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Go Pirates.
Yes, sir. See you. What an interview. That interview is brought to you by Anson Belt. You consider yourself a pirate? Not if you don't have an Anson Belt. Go to ansonbelt.com. Tons of combinations, over 10,000. Tons of, from American flag to pirate. Like we say, they got these game day belts. You got to check them out. Holeless, micro adjustable. They're the best. Go to ansonbelt.com and check it out. Drew, it's just me and you this week, man. Jack's moving to Denver for work, and Caden's out sick, so it's just me and you carrying the load this week, boy. Hey, let's get it.
Yeah, man. Here to do my best.
It's a big day for the producer, man. Let's go. Reports are coming out. Let's start off with football. We always try to do that. Reports are coming out of minicamp, rookie minicamp, and then now vet minicamp too. Drew, you're a Patriots fan. Gerard Mayo comes out and says, after day one of rookie minicamp, I don't know if a head coach has ever said this about a third overall quarterback, that Drake May has a lot to work on, quote, unquote. How are we feeling about that early on as a Pats fan? I mean, how bad could the first practice have been for him to go right after and say that? Like, does that mean they missed on a pick already? Do they already regret it? How are you feeling about that as a Patriots fan?
Yeah, so one thing that I would look at is I wish I knew exactly what the question was, because there's a lot of context that could go with that. But with it being said straight up that your head coach didn't necessarily say anything good about the third overall pick, that is alarming. But I also think Drake May's 21 years old. You know, what quarterback that is 21 can really go in and instantly start dicing it up and just playing elite football right then? So it can mean multiple things, but it's not a green flag. I'll say that.
I agree with you. I mean, I think, look, throwing Drake May's a North Carolina guy. He works out with my quarterback coach, too. I've been there. I know he can spin it, but like you said, you draft a quarterback 21 years old, third overall, like, he's going to be a work in progress. He's not going to be ready right there. If you have a 21-year-old ready to be a starter at quarterback, he would have went first overall. He's not ready to go right now. He's going to sit, in my opinion, he's going to sit behind Jacoby Brissett for a year or two. But let's also not sleep on that he went through that rookie minicamp and all that with Joe Milton, their 6th-round draft pick, Tennessee guy who has a huge arm, is extremely talented. Reports coming out that he has complete zip on the ball, but that's also his positive, but also his negative. So I guess if you compare Drake May and Joe Milton's arm strength, you're going to be like, wow, Joe Milton was a better pick, but that's not what it's completely about. Drake May is a long-term play for the Patriots. So it's definitely, like you said, definitely not a green flag, but could it be a red flag? I don't know. I mean, hopefully he pans out. He's a North Carolina kid, kind of like we said. Drew, I want to get your opinion also. I think we even got the video of Michael Penix. And, you know, being a lefty, everyone always hypes up this lefty spin. Videos come out of Atlanta of Michael Penix throwing the ball and, like, everyone dropping it. And Twitter's blowing up saying it's lefty spin. Yeah, there it is right there. I'll tell you right now, number 19, I guarantee that was rookie minicamp. There's no way he's still on the team, because if you can't catch a hitch route, then there's a problem. You get a catch right there. Then the equipment managers, equipment managers, they're not NFL players. The guy who Michael Penix is going to be throwing to the ball in the preseason, they're going to catch it. I don't think it's a big deal. Drew, how are we feeling? Am I lefty biased, or do you agree with me?
I'm a lefty too, so I love them, but there is a history of lefties not necessarily being in the league. Is there like a reason for that? You spent a little time as a lefty in the league. Like, is there a reason why lefties don't really get the shot that others do?
Yeah, dude, I think great question. I mean, they clearly don't get the shot that righties do. I think a lot of it is literally just old school people, because a lot of these new up and coming guys clearly like lefties, with Tua playing right now, with Michael Penix going 8 overall. So lefties are making a move, but there's still a whole lot of old school coaches in the league that just haven't coached it. And if you haven't coached it, how are you going to invest time and money into something that you've never done before? It's completely opposite of what you've ever done. Now, that's the hard way of saying it. Me being a lefty, and all the lefties out there, I'm sure, have been coached by right-handed quarterback coaches their whole life, and it's not a big deal. We're used to learning it as a righty and implementing it as a lefty. I hope that stigma goes away for people like me in the future, and Dylan Gabriel's coming up. Like, lefties deserve a chance. I've seen a video where if you flip the whole video and make lefty quarterbacks look righty, it looks like a completely normal motion. But if you flip, say, Josh Allen has a long release. If you flip his motion and he looks lefty, he probably looks like he has the biggest windup of all time. But it gets hidden because he's righty. So that's my opinion on it. I don't know, Drew. Hopefully, us lefties, we continue to get chances or get more chances in the NFL, and hopefully, Michael Penix pans out. It was a ballsy pick, but hopefully, he pans out. So it ends up working out for the lefties.
Have you ever had any receivers complain about a lefty quarterback?
Not really, no. I mean, I really haven't. I mean, yes, clearly the ball spins differently. It's a little bit different, but let's be honest. If you're a good receiver, you're going to catch the ball when it's there. Like, that's my opinion on it. That's how a lot of guys view it in the league and just in general. From the guys that I've had, I mean, yes, it does spin totally opposite direction, but let's be honest. When the ball touches your hands, do you have that good of hands that you actually notice? And if you do, then you're still going to catch it either way. You know what I mean?
You get paid millions, you should catch it all.
Yeah, so that's my opinion on that. Obviously, the Penix situation we talked about a little bit earlier. I think the week after the draft was kind of a weird draft pick, and it still is weird. Raheem Morris has came out and kind of explained that they were kind of looking at the short term, and Kirk Cousins, whether that's 4 years or 5 years, they were viewing that as a short-term play, and Michael Penix as the long-term play. He says, I think it was with Bussin' with the Boys. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Drew. He was just saying, like, this is when you're the GM, when you're the head coach, when you're the owner, you got to look at both short-term and long-term, and they feel like they have them both now with Michael Penix long-term, Kirk Cousins short-term. And someone asked them, they were like 4 years. Like, that's not really short-term. Well, it is if you're looking at NFL 10-year map, I guess, is what he was explaining. So I don't know how much I'm liking it. Drew, how are you feeling about that? Are you still liking this pick, them coming out and kind of explaining themselves, or do you think they should just wrote it out and not even say a word?
The more it sits with me and the more like I watched our previous episodes and like hear everyone's opinion, it makes more sense to me because we've talked about how weak the quarterback draft is in the upcoming years. So if you really got a guy you like and 2 years down the line there might not be a elite quarterback there, why not take him now? Obviously he is older as a rookie, but I mean if you really like him and you really trust him that he can win you a Super Bowl years to come, I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't know if I would have done it, but I'm not a GM. So.
No, I agree. I just think the thing about me is there's so many other needs that organizations have, but I mean, hopefully it works out because I do get the point where Kirk Cousins is eventually going to retire, and whoever's up next, he compared it to them losing Matt Ryan and not having anyone to replace him and being down a couple of years. So I see that they're kind of stuck from that, and they're like they don't want that situation to happen again. So I understand that part. When he explained that, I understood. Kirk Cousins came out and kind of said, look, there's going to be no beef between me and we've seen Cousins. We've seen interviews with him. He's a great guy. Obviously, he was a little shocked. Probably wasn't thrilled. He's not going to come out and say, I'm happy we drafted a quarterback, but he did come out and say, look, we're doing the same thing. It's hard enough to win a Super Bowl. It would be even harder with controversy in the room. Like, I'm just going to help him as much as I can, but I'm here to win a Super Bowl and he's here to win a Super Bowl. So we might as well team up and do this thing together. So Kirk just being a good guy, like he has been his whole career, is kind of what, came of that. That was my opinion on that one.
So I got another question for you. So let's say Kirk Cousins goes down for 3 weeks. Penix comes in and kills it. Do they pull the trigger on Kirk with that contract, or do you think the coaches will keep Kirk and start him in the upcoming weeks? Like let's say Penix goes 2-1 and lights it up. Like what happens there? Is Kirk gone?
100 million guaranteed. I don't know, Drew. I know money talks, especially in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position. You got guaranteed money. They're going to give you as many chances as you can. I think Kirk's going to go in and play extremely well. If he gets hurt or misses a few games and Penix plays extremely well, that first of all creates value in their future, creates value in trades if they need certain pieces, but it also just makes them look good. If Penix goes in and plays good, it makes them look, hey, we made the right draft pick. So there's a lot of different situations. I think money talks, and they're going to give Kirk all the rights to go win the job, even if he gets hurt and misses a game or two. I still think it's his team. But do I see Michael Penix? If he comes in and Kirk's out 6 weeks and he goes 5-1, that's a different story than 3 games.
Definitely.
But yeah, money talks in the NFL. Kirk, I think, got $100 million guaranteed. They're going to ride Kirk. They clearly think Kirk can win them a Super Bowl, so the Falcons are going to ride Kirk all the way to the end, and then hopefully pass the baton off to the next guy, which is Michael Penix right now. So we'll kind of see where that ends up. That segment was brought to you by Worth Chiropractic, 2 convenient locations on Arlington Boulevard. We talk about Greenville companies, Pirates supporting Pirates. Dr. Worth does all of that. Go check them out at 1-800-BACK-DOC. You can call them to schedule a consultation. They will work with your insurance and get all that. Let's get back to being you. Worth Chiropractic, 1-800-BACK-DOC today. Drew, it's our special. It's only our episode. It's me and you. Let's talk a little NBA because people call me crazy at the beginning of the year when I said the New York Knicks are going to contend for a championship. Now, look, the same starting 5 that we started the year with, there's only one guy still playing from that starting 5. That is how beat up the New York Knicks are. Yeah. And we are, that's all we need is Brunson. As long as Brunson's there, which we thought we lost him early in the series, but he's still grinding. He is balling right now. The Knicks look great. They had me worried. They're up 3-2, got a game tonight. We'll see if we can get to the Eastern Finals for the first time since 2000. Drew, how are we feeling as an unbiased spectator and NBA fan? Because I'm feeling great right now. I was a little worried earlier in the series. Everyone's hurt for the Knicks, but we got that New York mentality, and we're going to take it all the way. That's what I think. What are you feeling as an unbiased fan?
You know, this series has been crazy wishy-washy. Game 1, I thought I was saying Knicks in 6. It could still be Knicks in 6, but then, you know, OG went down. The Pacers kind of caught fire. Then I'm like, man, the Pacers might close it out in 6. And then I just watched Game 5, and the Knicks played their brand of basketball. And I'm looking at the box score now, and looking at the scoring, you would think the Pacers did fine. They shot 43% from total. They shot 44% from 3. That's great. But then I keep scrolling, and I see turnovers. 18 turnovers from the Pacers. The Knicks had 9.
Yep.
Some people would say, like, well, the Pacers just played a bad game. The Knicks have done that all year. Like, that's what they've made their money on, get steals, stops, and fast break points. That's what they've done. And then in the half-court offense, I wouldn't say the Knicks were great, but Brunson was completely unstoppable. 18 for 35. That's high volume at a high percentage. They don't really have an answer. And then Tyrese Halliburton, like, he just has a weird ability to just stop playing basketball. It's pretty weird. He came off 3 great games and then decided, I'm going to take 9 shots and score 13 points. That's just weird. You can't have that from your best player. Brunson, he's going out there. He's performing. He's basically saying, I should be on the USA team. Tyrese.
Snubbed.
Tyrese, you got lucky because Brunson is just killing it. And Game 6 is going to be a fun one. I'll say that.
I sure hope so, man. And you hit it right on the head. Jalen Brunson being snubbed off Team USA basketball for Tyrese Halliburton is wild. Tyrese Halliburton, I told you this early in the series. Superstars do not take games off, especially in the playoffs. And Buddy has took 2 games off in this series. I don't know what he did prior. Pat Bev came out and got some smoke for it, but he said after their series that anyone who dribbles the ball for 40 minutes would have 20 assists a game too. And he's not lying now after watching them. I didn't watch the Pacers a ton this year other than when the Knicks played them. I have not been impressed at all. When he tries to shoot and when he plays aggressive, I've been a little impressed. But compared to Jalen Brunson, it ain't even close. I don't know how Jalen Brunson didn't get on the Team USA team. You know what? I'm sure there's a fire in his belly, and that's why he's playing as well as he is now. I mean, he's put up 40 in like 6 games this playoff stretch that the Knicks have had. So, hey, whatever's working. Drew, I'm taking Knicks in 6. And if not, definitely in 7. We're not going to lose in that Madison Square Garden. But I think Knicks are going to go up to Indiana and take down the Pacers. I think the Pacers are a little bit fraud. I think Miles Turner's a stud. I really respect TJ McConnelly, although I think he's a little pesty little gnat playing, but I would love to have him on my team. But Halliburton, fraud. I 100% think he is. Now, I'm sure he'll go light it up next game just because I said that. Superstars show up in the playoffs, and he's not sat out, but been out of sort. Like you said, it looked like he didn't even play. He didn't even show up to the last game. He's not being aggressive. He had a wide open layup the other night, and they're down like 12. We were up 20, and he turned it down. And superstars don't do that. He's a pass first guy, which I respect. But if you're going to be a superstar in this league, you're going to take Team USA roster spots. You got to have that killer mentality in the playoffs, and I just don't think he has it.
If you're a superstar, opposing teams don't go on 18-0 runs. You're gonna take it into your own hands and you're gonna get your team a bucket. And there were just so many times that the Pacers would creep back. Miles Turner hit 3 straight threes, cut it down to 7, and the Knicks would just keep pushing them away every single time. And that is a championship mentality. I don't know if the Knicks can get it done this year just because of all they've been through, like injury-wise, but this is a team that has the championship mentality and a championship coach too. Maybe not yet, but
yeah, you want to talk about superstars, and you were saying teams don't go on 19-0 runs. We were up 20 or 22, excuse me, in the fourth quarter. The beginning of the fourth quarter, Pacers cut it to a 12 deficit, and then Brunson takes over, and that's what superstars does. He takes the deficit back up to 20, takes the lead back up to 20. That's what superstars do, and that's what Halliburton has not done this series.
Yeah, Halliburton's just weird, man. I don't really understand how you take 9 shots. And then coming off last week, he only played 20 minutes. The Pacers dominated, so he got plenty of rest. Like, to me, it's inexcusable. I don't get how you do that.
It is. Now, on the other side, Drew, we look like geniuses last week. In last week's episode, we called the Timberwolves to beat Denver. We're got a little shaking our boots now, though. Denver's took the 3-2 lead. They're balling. They look like themselves again. They look like the defending champ, whereas the first 2 games into it, Ant Edwards looked like he was going to be the new face of the NBA. Are we still confident in the Wolves? Because I'm sure not. They look like all the momentum is going against them. It's hard. It's tough to bet against the defending champions with experience, with the momentum. I think Timberwolves will make it 3-3 and it'll go to Game 7. But how are you feeling, Drew?
The first 2 games, the game plan worked, but then the difference is Aaron Gordon. That's the guy on that team that you choose to leave open, and he's just, if he's hitting his shots consistently like he is, last game he went 7 for 14. He's playing great. Last game, I think he hit like 3 threes. If he's doing that, I don't necessarily know what you do because you got to double Jokic. And another thing, if you're the defensive player of the year, how are you a liability? Like, how are you a liability? Jokic is just feasting every time. Like, Karl Anthony Towns is doing much better than Gobert is. So that's just weird to me. Jokic is doing what the MVP does, and Anthony Edwards, it seemed like he kind of ran out of gas. He's had a great series. He shot 5 for 15, 1 for 5 in Game 5. Not his best performance, but it looks like he'll have to drop 30 to 40 if they want to win a game.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I think I see that game going to Game 7, and I think Denver will take it. But I do think the Timberwolves will win Game 6. This next segment is brought to you by Wayne Hardy Law. Look, if you've been in a car accident, if you need a lawyer, you want someone to treat you like family, that's what Big Wayne and his team does. A true Greenville company. Look, we're always Greenville for life, and that's what we believe, and that's what this company believes. Check them out, 1-800-INJURED. Give them a call. Like I said, if you've been in a car accident, they'll treat you like family, get everything settled for you, and make sure you get paid for that accident for sure. So check them out. Also, Matamesquite Goose Club. Check them out. We're going to post some new giveaway stuff here pretty soon. They got a sick logo. They're releasing some new merch now. They're going to send it to us. So check out our Twitter at Holton Ahlers Show, and we will get that giveaway soon. But push to their socials, Matamesquite Goose Club, and their website to check them out. Drew, Jack's our NHL guy. I told him I'd talk about the Canes for 2 seconds because I haven't watched it that much. We're still fighting. The Canes are still fighting. Down 3-2. It didn't look good early, but they've stacked together a couple of wins. So we're still pulling for the Canes. We'll see how that goes. Drew, you got any? I wouldn't imagine so. You got any NHL comments?
I'll just say, going down to 0-3, this would be the best thing for North Carolina sports that's happened in a long time, probably since Cam Newton in 2015. And you're going against the 1 seed. I don't understand why the NHL would have the 1 seed and the 2 seed going against each other in the second round. To me, that's weird. This is what the Eastern Conference Finals should be, not the second round matchup. So that's weird to me. Hopefully, someone in the comments can explain what that is. So that's a little weird to me. But go Canes, man! They're fighting. They're keeping it alive.
Yeah, if they win 4 in a row, man, that would be electric. I'll tell you that because playoff hockey, there ain't much like it. I've been to a couple playoff Canes game, and it's been a blast. Hey, let's transition over, Drew. got a little news on the UFL. I might be playing in the last 2 games. So one of our last games is in DC. So ECU fans, let's go. So ECU fans flood to DC. Hopefully you can see me, Noah, and Zay playing because we're out of the playoff hunt now, clearly. And I've talked about it openly on this show. So they might be getting me some film the last 2 games. Yeah, and then shout out to James for this shirt. It says you see the game. It says free 15. He's flooded with Twitter with it. He's a supporter of the pod. Talks about it after every game. So shout out to James for wearing the shirt, getting a couple shirts made, and I think we already did tweet it out. If not, we will tweet it out. So shout out to him. So your boy might be playing soon, Drew. We might finally get some action in the UFL.
Let's go. Do a little film breakdown on the pod.
We should. I just got to go play good now. I got to go play good if I do get in. But I'm just going to go be myself. I feel like I've waited for this opportunity for definitely all year, definitely since last preseason. I feel like I played well in the preseason in the NFL, and just things haven't felt the way that they, I feel like they should have. But if I get a shot, I'm gonna go out there and ball and show what I can do and get in front of NFL teams, and then if not UFL as well. So some positive news. I'm pumped about it. And the boys got our first dub. We're 1-6 now, but hey,
let's go.
We got a dub. Yeah, let's go. So Drew, let's transition over to the fan questions of the week. I know we had quite a few this week, so we left a good bit of time for them.
We had a good bunch.
What do we have? Yeah, we have a bunch of them. So let's start rolling them off.
All right. From Pirate JJ. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? And he has a second question, too. Would you rather unexpectedly find a man or a bear following you in the woods?
I'm going to go 1 horse-sized duck. I feel like 100 horses would be kind of, even if they're duck-sized, they can still kick you pretty hard. And then I would definitely rather find a man follow me in the woods. If a bear's stalking you in the woods, I don't know how much you can do. I feel like I can at least fight a man. Really bunch of weird, random questions there, Jay, but respect for replying, and hope you got the answers you wanted.
Heck yeah, I'd probably go with 1 horse-sized duck too. 100 little horses can be deadly, I feel like. All right, Joey Zealousy of the 51s. We need a more robust discussion on how NIL is destroying college sports as we know it and undermining higher education to the detriment of poor regions of the country like Eastern North Carolina.
Great comment. I'm glad you said this. I don't think – here's my opinion on it. I think I'm not bashing Team Boneyard. We need Team Boneyard. Invest in Team Boneyard because if you want to win, you got to have NIL, and that's the way they're doing it right now is collectives. I've said it on this show before, though. NIL isn't ruining college sports. It's collectives that are ruining college sports. And, Drew, we've talked about this off air. I'm saying collectives in a general, not Team Boneyard. We need Team Boneyard. Please do not get that wrong. We need Team Boneyard. But when they made NIL, the basis of it is if your name, image, and likeness can help a company out and they can pay you to help them out, then do that. I support that. That's what I had a lot of my senior year. There wasn't Team Boneyard when I was there. There was this company wants you to do a commercial for them. They'll pay you this X amount. Okay, I'll go do the commercial. My face will be on it. They'll pay me this. It's a win-win. Collectives come along and say, pour all the money into this. Pour all the money into this, and we'll figure out how they get paid. I don't think that's the way to go. I think that is where it goes wrong. There shouldn't be – I'm very glad. I'm happy we have it. I hate to say it. I know it sounds like that. I'm very glad we got Team Boneyard. We need Team Boneyard to win. But college football in general, college athletics in general, there shouldn't be 90 guys getting paid on a roster in college football if NIL is doing what NIL was meant to do. There's not 90 guys on any football team in America that can help a business out financially by showing their face. Not 90 guys. Or Drew, how many guys are even on a roster now?
On a college roster, you're talking about like 120.
Okay, 120.
Including everybody, top to bottom.
Yeah. If they're now look, I don't know if walk-ons are getting paid. I don't know the full extent of it. I know some schools are paying everyone. Now, look, if you can get a walk-on scholarship paid, that's a different story. I've seen some schools do that. I know schools do that, and I love it to death. But the basis of NIL is if your face and likeness can help my business out, then my business will pay you to use your face to help my business out. Is that happening with all these collectives now? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of donors flooding money into the collective paying monthly to student athletes, and student athletes randomly talking about businesses. Drew, am I wrong?
Yeah, colleges found a loophole, really. What they're doing is that collectives, they give you the money, and all you got to do is send a tweet or some type of social media post saying thank you to them, and now you're getting paid. It's not what NIL was meant to be. New rules are going to have to go in place, but for now, that's what it is.
They have to. Yeah, and I mean, that's a great question. And look, I'm not trashing any NIL. I was a supporter of NIL. I still am a supporter of the NIL. I am a supporter of athletes' name, image, and likeness helping out businesses with their financials and getting them people over there. That is what NIL was meant to do. If we can somehow get college sports to go back to that, then it's a win-win. And if we can get collectives to get on that page, and a lot of them might be, I don't fully know. And look, if you want to win right now in college athletics, because there ain't no rules, you better have a collective, and they better be paying your athletes monthly. I've heard it with ECU. There's guys that come in. We had transfers come in for spring ball, do spring ball, ask for more money from the collective, get declined, and transfer out. What have you done for the team? You haven't even played a season yet. How are you going to help a business around here?
Yeah,
no one knows you. No one knows your name, image, or likeness. You don't know. No one knows you. I'm going on a rant here, but that's what colleges came to. So if we can figure out a way for NIL to be NIL and to help businesses the way they're supposed to be, then I'm all for it. But something has to happen. Drew, you got anything else? I know I just ranted for a good bit, but I'm glad that question was asked.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it. I think for the future, the term NIL will be of the past. I said it maybe on the first few episodes. I don't know if it's possible or like what rules need to be changed, but I think it's going to have to go to like a salary cap type deal. Each team gets an equal amount of money that they're distributed, and then college athletes are practically semi-pros at that point. I don't know if it's possible with college, but that seems like the best response to NIL now.
100%. And look, if you're going to do a profit share with the university, the university has to split whatever profits, say 5% of whatever profits the university gets from football. They got to split with the football team. That's totally different. And I'm for that too. But don't sit here and call NIL something that ain't NIL. Because NIL, name, image, and likeness, there's not that much going on right now in college sports. It's more collectives just getting paid as employees at this point, in my opinion. But let's just be real about it. That's what it is. And like you said, Drew, NIL might be a thing of the past here in a few years, and it might just be just straight employees, semi-pro getting paid. Let's call it what it is. It ain't NIL right now, so whatever it is, let's call it. If they're employees, call them employees. They go to work, they spend hours there, just call them employees and pay them, because that's what it is right now.
Yeah. All right, we'll go to the next question.
Next question. Thanks for my rant.
All right, our man Kenny Holton, in your time in the NFL and UFL, what are some of the coolest things you have seen and gotten to experience?
Oh, man, Kenny, I've seen a ton, man. One of the coolest things I'll cherish about the NFL when I was there was the quarterbacks would always show up early to work out in Seattle, and it would be me, Gino, Drew, and you could tell who the superstars were on the team because it would be 5:30 a.m. in the morning. We wouldn't have meetings till 9 o'clock, and it would be the quarterbacks in there who didn't have to be in there, but Gino kind of led me and Drew in there, and we ended up liking it. And then it would be Bobby Wagner, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Tariq Woolen, like all the leaders on that team and big name guys on that team were in that locker, were in the weight room at 5:30, 5 days a week. And I really cherish that time. What do you say, Drew?
I said those are the Pro Bowlers.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And you see them on Sundays and they go ball out. And like that is something I really cherish and will cherish for a long time, is just being in there with those guys. Because like I'm just a kid from Grimesland/Greenville, North Carolina, went to East Carolina, never been anywhere my whole life. And then, fast forward to I'm in Seattle and, I'm in there with Hall of Famers. Like Bobby Wagner's going to be a Hall of Famer. And like I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is awesome. How did I get in here? So that was just one cool story. I got tons of them. We'll talk about them all throughout episodes, but appreciate the support, Kenny. I know you're supporting us, and we definitely appreciate it.
Pirate 24/7. What are your thoughts on UNC and State possibly being forced to play us regularly?
Let's go. Want some, get some. Old rough comment, man. What does it hurt? It might hurt them because they'll lose some of these games. Why not have a rivalry that helps businesses around the community, both where Raleigh, Chapel Hill, East Carolina? It helps nothing but the state. It looks good for football. It looks good for all these sports. You're going to have big crowds. Why not do it? Especially, look, you're an ECU fan. We all know we want it. It's those schools that are hiding from it. So hopefully, a bill's passed that they're forced to play us. I sure hope that's the case.
Yeah, I know we've talked about it plenty, but everyone on the East Carolina side wants this to happen. We all hope it does. That's just all I'll say.
Yep.
Stephen Wright, best inside story from ECU football that fans don't know. Bonus points if it involves DK. The man is a legend.
Drew, we said the 9.5 or the 8.5 story the first episode, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good one. If not, go back to episode 1 and listen to the DK story on that one. Drew, do you have any? I mean, I have some. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I'll let you go first, and then I'll kind of follow it up.
I don't know if it's necessarily a football story, but I'll talk about we can cut it if you don't want to keep it in. But
all right.
The first party I went to at Holton Ahlers House.
Oh, go ahead. I love it. Let's hear.
Yeah. So I was a little freshman going to my first party after the season, and Holton Ahlers, we were locker neighbors, so he's like, "Come on by, man! Like it's gonna be fun," which it was. So I come by, and Sean Bailey's there. Shout out Sean Bailey. He's killing it in the strength and conditioning world. But yeah. So I guess Holton U has some type of moonshine or something. And Sean Bailey hands it to me, and we didn't have like a bottle or cup or nothing, so I drink it out of a pan, and I instantly just started yakking, and I looked back inside, and Sean Bailey just drinking it like Kool-Aid.
Oh, that was a good story.
Well, I guess.
Hey, no, that's a good one. That was a thing in college, man. Was hosting the guys over for parties like during the off season and then after wins, and then our big thing was Halloween, Drew, and we have a ton of Halloween stories that were good. We'll have to get to another time. But my ECU football story, I'll tell you, I'm not going to name a guy, but we had a quarterback in my time at ECU that could not, when we would go into the huddle for it only happened, I wish Caden was on this. It happened 1 week out of all 5 years, it never happened again. But he could not say it. He wouldn't even stutter. He just couldn't speak when he was trying to say the play. And so our our OC goes up to him at the time. Not even going to say that. So it could be two guys. He's like, "What's going on, man?" And the dude was like, "I didn't take my medicine." So then our GA, our quarterback coach and OC, sends our GA to go to Walgreens to get this guy's medicine. He goes to Walgreens and he calls us back, and he's like, and then the quarterback calls the GA and he's like, "Hey man, I was lying. I wasn't on medicine. I just didn't." He just was completely blank. We would tell him to play, and he would just go blank in the huddle. So to this day, I wish Cam was in here because I still don't know what was going on with him. But he would be told to play, walk into the huddle, and he just couldn't say the play. He would know the play. He was a genius kid. And no, it's not Alex Flynn because I said genius, probably the smartest ever. But yeah, that was my my funny story. But I still don't know what happened why he couldn't speak the play in the huddle.
All right, Dan. That's a lot of numbers, but Dan asks, "What will come first, a football conference championship or a trip to Omaha?"
I hope a trip to Omaha because I hope it's this year. I think we got the team to do it. I'm going with Omaha there. But look, we're in a very winnable conference. I've been very vocal about that. This conference is Conference USA 2.0. It's a very winnable conference, maybe even easier than Conference USA. Look, Houston, all these big teams aren't in it anymore. This is a winnable football conference, but I hope it's Omaha because I hope it's this year.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I feel like we could literally do both this year.
Yep.
It seems in grass for both teams. Cameron Yarbrough, this past week of ECU baseball.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Hopefully, we can still handle a regional. Cameron obviously asked this before I talked to Jon Gilbert about it, but hopefully we can still host a regional. I think we're good enough too, so definitely wasn't great.
Pirate Zach and the AAC. Since transfers are all the talk nowadays in today's college football world, will a team ran by someone like Dabo where they refuse to take or recruit transfers fall behind, or do you think they can maintain their program?
Great question. It's going to be tough to see. Look, I think you got to take transfers in today's world, but if there's a team and a program to not take transfers and win, it's going to be Clemson. Dabo's got a great culture, great facilities. He's got everything he wants. He's going to get the 5-star kids out of high school. So he's going to have the talent to do it, and that's probably why he's not doing it. But I think, as you saw last year, they're not the same Clemson team as in the past, so he's going to eventually have to break that rule, I would imagine, or else it's going to negatively affect him. But if there's a program to do it and to be successful, it's them. Do I think other programs can do that? No, I don't think so. Clemson's going to consistently get 5 stars, and that's why they're not doing it. Can a team like ECU do that? No, they can't. You can't get 3 stars because, look, you're going to miss on 3 stars. 5 stars, you usually don't miss on. One of very few you'll miss on a 5-star because 5 stars usually means you're already ready to play in college. Whereas a 3-star, you got to develop and stuff like that. So you're going to have to take transfers at smaller schools.
Yeah, the one thing I would say on that is that the pressure is on to not miss. You got to be great at recruiting because every other team, if they miss, they can just go back in the portal and try again. You don't have that luxury if you're not utilizing the portal. So, but Dabo's a great coach, so he probably doesn't miss a lot.
Ballsy. It's ballsy. Drew, is that the last one?
That is the last question.
Hey, what an episode, Drew. Thanks for carrying it today. You carried the boys today. We're excited to go see you next year, play a little ball, get a free education. Shout out to you. Jack, hopefully will be back next week. Caden's hopefully going to be healthy next week. Hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, episode 20 of the Holton Ahlers Show. We'll see you next time. Yeet.